Hello, so this video is an introduction to year 13. So at this time in the year we would always start on our year 13 material, and as we make that start we would recap the course structure because it's been a while since you've probably thought about it, with the focus on what's coming next in year 13 so we can get a bit excited about what's coming up. Okay, so that's the plan for this little clip. Okay, so what you can see in front of you is the overview of the assessments that we're preparing for at the end of year 13. So we've already done an awful lot of work in preparation for them. So let's take a look at paper one. Paper one, you can see, has the contents of topics 1 to 4 within the specification covered. Now 1 to 4 on our specification are all the topics that we've covered in year 12. So there are year 12 student notes that we've finished all of those year 1 topics. Okay, so we've already ticked off the content for all of that material. Okay, if you have a look at the exam itself, paper one is a 2-hour exam. It is 91 marks and there are 35% of your overall grade. Now, that exam looks very much like everything we've been practicing, every homework, every question pack so far in the course. It's a mixture of short and long answer questions. So these are the style of questions that we've been doing every homework, every question pack. It also includes another style of question we've been practicing a lot, which is the 5, 4 or 6 marker. Okay, so those ones are called by our examiner the extended response questions, and at the end of paper one, as you all know because we've talked about it a lot, there are 3 of those questions, and together those 3 questions add up to 15 marks. So some years it's 5, 5, 5, and in other years it might be 1 5 marker, a 4 marker and a 6 marker. They're never closely related, although there is a thread that runs through them, and they're an opportunity to test AO1. So that's your knowledge recall, but they are all about detail, okay, detailed vocabulary. You can only get a high grade in, or high mark in those 15 marker and that 15 marks if you put that level of detail that we've been trying to practice this year with that high level of vocabulary. Okay, so we're still working on that, but you will only be asked those style of questions on your year 1 content. So we've done lots and lots of practice, and we will keep going with that style of question, but you will only be assessed in that way on paper 1 at the end of the paper. Okay, so we know quite a lot about paper 1 because that's been our focus for most of year 12. Let's have a think about what we're moving on to. Okay, so we've still got a lot more content to go, and you can see from the balance here that it's an equal amount, so we won't be having reams and reams of time to go back over all of the topics of year 12. We will continue to do retrieval practice right the way through the course on year 12 content, but we've got to get in an equal number of topics this year for our year 2, our year 13 content. Okay, but what's super exciting is that the content of year 13 are loads of topics that I know that my students have already told me they're really excited about studying. We've done all the foundation knowledge now. We've done our enzymes, we've done our biochemistry, we've done everything that we need to go on now and go into greater depth and learn about body systems and gene technology and things like gene switching. So incredibly interesting topics. Okay, and we can only do that because we've done all that graft, that hard work, getting in that foundation knowledge in year 12. Okay, so we're going to build on that, introducing new topics and new content, and we're going to have to commit that to memory in the same way we have been doing with our year 12 content. So how will the exam be for our year 13 content? Well, paper 2 is only going to assess what we do this year or moving forward into this next academic year. So again, it's equally weighted. So you've got 35% of your A level again. It's the same length of paper, it's the same number of marks. Okay, again, it's a mixture of short and long answer questions. Okay, but then the difference here at the end of this paper is there's another style of question. Now, you have seen these questions. We have done some comprehension questions that are based on year 12 material, and so you've had a little go at some. They're the ones with a big paragraph of information and where it says use lines such and such to such and such. So we need to do more practice on that throughout our year 2 studies. Okay, so that's another skill that we've been practicing already in our year 12, and we're going to continue. Okay, so we've got the comprehension skill, we've got this extended response skill that we've been practicing, and we'll keep that practice going as we learn the new content. Okay, so they're your first 2 papers. Okay, so as you can see in your A-level biology, you've got your paper 1 based on your year 12 content. You've got your paper 2 based on your year 13 content. But if you look up to the top here, there is one last paper that we'll need to take, which is slightly less in terms of weighting. So it's 30%. Okay, it's still a 2-hour exam. It's fewer marks available on that exam. And I'll explain why it takes longer to acquire those few marks in a minute. And you can see that the content from topics is 1 to 8. So that means that this is based on year 12 and year 13. So this is our synoptic paper. This is where the examiner asks you questions about osmosis and asks you to apply them to something you've met in year 13 or another aspect of year 12. So it's a real thinking paper, okay? And again, we've been developing those skills, and we'll need to keep those skills going and keep that development going through year 13. The way we do that is with lots and lots and lots of practice exam questions. Okay, so have a look now at the structure of paper 3. Paper 3 is structured slightly differently. We've got 38 of the marks are structured questions, including things on practical techniques. Okay, so they don't have to be practicals that we've done. They can be practicals that the examiner thinks you should be able to understand from the information they give you. Okay, so really sort of AO3 type questions. But then there is one stonking data set question, which is 15 marks, and it's towards the back of the paper. It's quite a difficult question, that one, and it is one that we practice again, but it is about critical analysis of data. So that's using not just one data set, but maybe 2 or 3 different data sets together. So that's something that we're going to be moving to do more of. And then at the end of that paper, the final part of your final assessment in A-level biology is your essay. And we started that development already, okay? We've been developing it all year. Every time we say to you, this is important in biology, because that's helping you to point to things that will help you in essays. Every time we give you a little bit of snippet of information from outside of the spec and we say this is slightly off spec, that's to give you some extra information you can use in your essays. So you get a choice of 2 titles. They are massively broad, so they could be something along the lines of proteins in their importance in biology discuss, or bonds and their importance in biology discuss. So really big, so you get to show off all your AO1 knowledge. But there is, as you'll see with the mark schemes, as we start to look more at essays, and now with your practice, to get high marks in that essay, you need to be able to, for example, describe the function of a particular bond in a protein as part of your bonds and their importance essay. And then you need to do a second linking paragraph explaining the importance of that bond. So usually I ask students to imagine, what if that bond didn't exist? What would happen to the organism? What would go wrong? Okay, so that's what we're practicing in our homework at the moment. So in your homework 32, that's what I've asked you to have a go at. Okay. Right, so a bit of a reminder, I suppose, to what our journey has been. Okay, so when you first start with us, I very much equate your GCSE studies to an analogy of being a swimmer. Okay, so when you were doing your GCSEs, you were swimming quite often on the surface with the occasional diving down deeper. Okay, so when you first start with me, I usually use this analogy, so my groups will be familiar with it, of you swimming, and that's really acquiring AO1 knowledge and having to give that back to the examiner. So you were really good swimmers, you're really good at remembering lots of information that your teacher taught you in your GCSEs, and were able to give that information back to the examiner when they asked for it. Occasionally they would give you data sets or practicals that you needed to explore using your AO1 knowledge, and that's what I would say is when you're sort of diving deeper. Okay, so what has your A-level been about so far in biology? Well, we've been in deep sea diving training, definitely. So can you see these people in the pool here? They're being equipped, and there's their instructor there, that's the teacher. And our job is to give you lots and lots of practice, to give you guidance during that practice and your exam paper practice, to be developing your skills. So obviously we're not really diving. So what skills am I talking about? Well, AO1 becomes very much more important in A-level because there's so much of it, and that's your detailed knowledge. So that's all your key vocabulary and knowing absolutely every mark point for every 5 marker. But the diving aspect, the applying your knowledge to the unknown, applying your knowledge to data, applying your knowledge to practicals, that is what the majority of the marks on your scripts are for. So we could learn absolutely everything off by heart for the whole biology syllabus and still come out with a D if we can't apply our knowledge. So we must practice and practice still, because one day, next year, that will be you off on your deep sea dive for your final exams, and by then you'll be fully equipped and trained up in everything you need. With lots and lots of hard work and effort, you'll have memorized all the biology, all the knowledge, all the AO1s, and with all the extra practice and things that we're going to do together, you'll have developed the skills to be able to apply that knowledge to your exam script. Okay. Right, so I hope you're excited about continuing this journey. You haven't lost choice because you're coming anyway. Okay, so let's move on to our first topic of year 13.